something and then turned into the state. So he's been doing that for like 300 towns in Maine. So we're feeling it's going to be close in Maine, but we're feeling better than we were. And then New Hampshire, we've got the ongoing lawsuit. I haven't checked in today on how the lawsuit went, the hearing went, but the judge sounded really pissed at the state yesterday because the state's basically saying everything's fine. But we're still gathering signatures there. Washington, I hear we're in a good place. We got enough raw to make it, and then that gets us through mid-August on deadlines. So 50 states still in sight. So, John, I don't know if you had any updates, especially on Maine. I hadn't had an update today on Maine.
I don't have an update on Maine. I do have I contacted Iowa and Minnesota and Wisconsin today and said, hey, if you guys need me, I'll come up and do signatures. And they said, and they all replied that basically they think they've got it. They've got some events coming up. And I just said, hey, I'm available, so let me know. But they think that they're in good shape, so.
And then, Ken, I don't know whether you have any, or it looks like Paul's on here too. I don't know whether either of you have any updates.
Can you hear me now, by the way?
Yes.
Hey, I had to leave and come back. I did talk to Thrasher earlier today. He was driving around delivering petitions to various city clerks. That's a New England thing. You got to take all the petitions and deliver them to the clerks. And then you got to go pick them all back up and take them to the Secretary of State, because apparently New England's not heard of the U.S. Postal Service. And so that's what he was doing today, was running all over the place, dropping stuff off.
Cool.
Yeah, by the way, let me just give, I know you already did, but let me give him a shout out, because he is on fire doing work.
Oh, I know this is being recorded, but he's going to be my first activist of the month. So.
Yeah. I do not disagree.
Yeah. So there we are. It is 9/11. Let's go ahead and call this to order. My first executive committee meeting, and our only carryovers from last term are Karen Ann and Tim. So you guys are gonna have to tell me when I do things wrong on executive.
Oh, we could have some fun then. I could just start messing with you.
Making stuff up. Yeah. So how formal has it been in the past? And then I guess how formal do we want to keep these?
It hasn't been very formal. What Nick used to do is whoever really was bringing the subject up, he would call it to order, ask if they had a motion they want to bring. What's the motion? Let's vote on it. Okay, goodbye.
Okay.
That's kind of, it's been like 15 minutes usually.
I think Mr. Phillips is perfecting my motion, so I'll let him give it in a moment, but let me give the background on it. I did send some emails to you, but I'll just summarize those very quickly. Bob Johnston has been communicating with the states and with the campaign to figure out kind of all the different things that we need to do. And one of the items he has is making sure that our presidential ticket is filed on a timely basis in every state where we get ballot access. And he's identified 3 states where, in his view, they have excessive filing fees that may require assistance beyond the state party to get them on the ballot. And the 3 that he identified are Mississippi, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's not made a request, so Ken, I don't know whether you know more about that or not, but for Mississippi and West Virginia, those are $2,500 a piece, and Kentucky is $500. Let me pause there just to clarify the Kentucky thing and see if we've got to wrap it in with this or if they're good. Do you know, Ken?
I do know that they were making a request. I think they went to the campaign first because, as a bit of history, in 2008 and 2012, the filing fees were paid by National for Kentucky. And in 2016, the Johnson campaign paid those.
Okay. So
that's kind of the breakdown of how it went in Kentucky, and that's why they reached out as well. I just don't think the request has made it to the party yet.
Okay.
But,
well, why don't we treat it as wrapped into all this then? So the argument from Bob Johnston about why he wants to kind of split this down the middle is, let me read it word for word, so I don't mischaracterize it. This is Bob Johnson. I will say I've been the Maryland chair since 2007. This is my 4th presidential cycle. The Jorgensen campaign has done more than any of the other campaigns for ballot access. And so that's Bob's perspective. I would agree with that. I mean, they really are stepping up on paying for paid petitioners and helping out our efforts on all of that. So he kind of used this as a good working together gesture where we basically cover these costs down the middle for these states that need the assistance. So the request is between these 3 states, it would be $5,500 and that national cover half of that cost. And then originally in the email, I said, let's do it out of ballot access because we're running under on that. And while we're running under on that, Mr. Phillips suggested we instead take it out of candidate support. And if we have to do a transfer between each of those funds, because I don't know what the balance we have is in candidate support. I didn't have a chance to ask Tim that question. But John, do you have a perfected motion?
I don't.
Rather than me making it and you amending it, why don't we just skip the step? And
I mean, my proposal was simply that we do approve it, but that we take the money out of candidate support, simply because that's what it is. And then also, just as an added argument, is that we have had to increase to $4 or $5 a signature for some of these states that we're paying paid petitioners in, and so I would rather err in favor of making sure that we have the money to pay those people, particularly because in the last several meetings when we've had a request for a report from candidate support, they have not had a report simply because they've not had any meetings, because they have not had any requests for funds from candidate support. And so I know that money is sitting there untouched. I don't know what the amount is, but I am sure that it's less than half of $5,500.
Tim, do you know that answer off the top of your head? I know I'm throwing this at you last minute. You're muted, by the way.
Sorry. Let's just look it up. We have a line for candidate campaign initiatives that has 19,600 left in there.
Okay.
That also would include probably any staff labor related to candidate support, like follows, pay.
Because it was my recollection, and it may be mistaken, that we didn't have any discretionary amounts in that line item beyond staff salaries. But
I don't think we had anything to give directly to candidates.
Okay.
But
I'm not married to this suggestion. I just know that we had heard those reports repeatedly from Sam, and so.
Well, I do appreciate, let's spend the money from the right line item. So at minimum, I would want us to transfer the money from ballot access to that line item and then spend out of that line item.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Ms. Harless.
Wouldn't it be from candidate support?
Yeah, but there's apparently, we're not sure whether there's money in candidate support.
Would we then transfer it, though, from ballot access to then candidate support?
Yeah, that's what I'm proposing.
One other item, there's 2 people in the room that I needed to get the names for the record. It's somebody who had just come in, who's just identified as iPhone, and a phone-in caller with area code 205.
If either of those people could unmute themselves and identify them for the secretary.
Yeah, this is Paul Frankel.
So that's the 205, Karen Ann?
Okay.
Yes.
And then the iPhone? Yep.
I'll just put out unidentified, I suppose.
Yeah, it's Joe Biden. So.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
TSA, hey, how you doing? We're doing good.
Joe, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So, as one of the states affected by this, how is this going to be dispersed? Because we're running up on our deadline to file.
Yeah.
I've got the paperwork. But I contacted the Secretary of State's office the other day before I sent it off, and they say they need the payment with the paperwork. It's an interesting coordination for me at this point.
Tim, are you able to speak to that? Assuming we approve it, what would be the next steps for, let's say we picked up the West Virginia portion of it. What would be the next steps to get him a check or whatever?
Probably Robert Kraus signing the check and writing the check.
Would
he sign the check to the Secretary of State, or would he sign it to the state party?
it would probably need to sign it to the Secretary of State. Would we be able to do, if I was able to arrange a where we could call in and pay it over the phone? What they call it is escaping me right now, but they call it, they pay the stuff on the phone and we send in the paperwork.
Vimeo or a direct transfer, like electronic transfer?
Yeah, something like a direct transfer, not like a PayPal or anything like that.
ACH.
CCH?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we'd have to get the Secretary of State's like routing number and account number, the info to be able to.
Well, no, I mean it's like so we would call in with with our account and.
Oh, and have them withdraw.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably best to ask Robert Kraus how.
All right.
Best way to handle that.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid the 8-hour round trip to Charleston. So.
Well, if you're going to call it in, I would assume you would either use the state account number or a personal credit card or a state credit card, and so then we would just reimburse the state. Would be my guess.
But we can't. We're not a FEC filing. No, I think that's considered in-kind contribution.
Yeah, is them not being an FEC filer a complication here?
No, we can still give to them.
Okay.
We can't raise money and say it's for them, but we can give from our general funds to them. Would they take a credit card or debit card?
The Secretary of State's office? Yeah.
Right. Oh,
or would
they don't. They say they don't trust politicians. They say only cash.
Would it be a donation to the campaign? That's I'm not sure on all that, but
it'd be a coordinated expenditure with the campaign, and we can. I looked that up when this came up, and we can spend up to like $26 million on that. So we got a good buffer there.
Yeah, I think we got a little bit of buffer there, so we're all right. All right.
So I guess I'll talk to Robert tomorrow and try and coordinate it on our end if this goes through.
All right, let me write up the motion and then we can debate it. Move to transfer. All right, I put it in the chat. Move to authorize up to $2,750 for presidential filing fees in Mississippi, West Virginia, and Kentucky, drawn from candidate support, and then transfer $2,750 from ballot access to candidate support.
Second.
I don't think we can do that last part because LNC is who sets a budget.
Okay.
I think we have enough money where we can transfer or pay that fees, and if it looks like we're gonna run over budget or need more in that budget for the.
So the LNC will have to do that
We
part.
can ask the LNC to increase the amount.
All right. So let me Let me adjust it. I'll take that last part out.
Right.
All right. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. So seconded by Ms. Harlos. Is there objection?
Just since this is informal, just a point of consideration is: do we
Sure.
want to? Is it clear to everybody and the record that that is not $2,750 for each state, and that it is $2,750 total?
I could say a total of $2,750.
I think that would just make it that much clearer.
Mr. Longstreth moves to amend to add a total up to a total of $2,750. Is there objection to that amendment? Seeing no objection, the amendment's adopted. Is there discussion on it? Since we're being informal, if anybody wants to say anything on it. Seeing no discussion or debate, Ms. Harless, do you want to call the roll on it?
If there's no objection, I could just put without objection.
Okay. Is there objection to the motion? I use my little gavel. Without objection.
Easy peasy.
Very smooth.
Don't spend it all in one place, David.
It
is. It's going to
out there just to make it harder for you.
I'm going to notify Bob Johnson so he can coordinate with the campaign on the other half of it. That's all the business I had. Does anybody have anything else?
Move to adjourn?
No.
Well, we're out of business, so at 9:25 p.m. we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
All right, have a good
Thanks.
night. I've got minutes
Thanks,
calling my
guys.
name.
Okay, right,
Good night, everybody.
right.